All right, welcome back. Now let's get ready to dive into Skyward. In this tutorial, we're just going to kind of go over the basics of the screen. So I would ask you to follow along, maybe use your stop and pause button if you need to. If you know how to use a split screen in your browser, then that would probably be the best way to go. But don't hesitate to hit the pause button. I won't take it personally. All right, so when you first log in to Skyward, which you should have already done, you will probably come to this home screen. This is kind of the teacher access, educator access home screen. From here, you should be able to get anywhere. I will be giving you some instructions for later. If you want to edit the way this page looks a little bit, you'll be able to do that. As you log in, you should be able to see your name here. And then there are some preferences that you may want to play with, and you can do that again. I would do that later. You can also access different kinds of assistance. If you use Skyward documentation, that's probably the best place to go. Most of these others are really for me to use, and if we have a request, you can send that to me, or if you have a question, or I can, if I can't answer it, then I will send it to Skyward. Over here, we'll go through some of this again, but you can add favorites, and those favorites will show up under this list. You can open a screen in a new window, so you could work in two windows at one time by clicking on the new window button. So I could go to the calendar, and then I've got both screens open. You can toggle back and forth by using the window, and you'll get better at using that just with experience. But you can flip. Now that I have two windows open, I can flip back and forth between the two. One thing that you do want to make sure that you do inside of Skyward is you want to use the back button. Either use the one with the icon, or you can use the button. Either one of those will work, but don't use the back button from the menu or in the browser. That will close you out and just confuse you. So if we use back, we'll come back to here. Let's see, let's go to Teacher Access. That's where you'll spend most of your time. So we're going to click over to here. And you can see you have different areas of access. Throughout the year, we may ask you to go to some of these different locations. You will spend probably most of your time in gradebook and in post-daily attendance. I usually work from my gradebook no matter what I do. And so that's the one we're really going to delve into. But these are kind of shortcuts to these other areas. And you can see my students, that's showing up here on your home screen, and that's a favorite, and that's why you see that there. Okay, let's go to my gradebook. I'm going to try to do this pretty quickly. We will talk later about reports, or that's one of the things that you can do on your own, and this is where you can access that. You can also access that from inside the grading. Inside the gradebook. Here, this becomes really important at the end of a grading period. We do progress reports, but you don't have to do anything with that. You will only need to post for quarter one, and then quarter two, which is also the semester, quarter three and quarter four. You will get tutorials on those later. All right, let's dive into here. Let's go to gradebook. I'm just going to pick one of these gradebooks. When you go in, you can kind of see the students over here. You've got your grades. Once you have assignments in here, they'll show up here at the top. You can go to discipline. We'll talk about that later. Your message center. And I would just kind of play around with these. Under classes is where you can skip to a different class period, so you can move between classes. Your assignments, we'll spend some time here as well. Attendance, this is where you will go take your attendance. We'll talk about that. The categories will be the first issue that we hit. And as we go there, you kind of get a glance, but I'm going to help you set that up later. Grade marks, that kind of comes in handy if you want to know the grade scale. You can always look there if you have a question and you don't have your handbook close by. This is where you can also post grades. You can do that from here or from the other window. but I'll talk about that later. Again, this is another area to access reports. Charts if you want to look at grade distribution and category averages and those types of things, and see how the students progressed. You can play around here. And this again is some preferences, which I will ask you to maybe play with a little bit after you finish the necessities for week 1. Quick scoring. We'll talk about that in grading, but that's an easier, it just gives you a different view of the grade book. There's no assignments in here, but your assignments would show up, and then you can score more than one assignment at a time. And if you want to export to a spreadsheet, you can play around with that. You might want to look at these, their display methods, and different ways of looking at things. Again, you kind of want to play with that. This is just you can pick different ways to view things. P2 is progress report period 2. Quarter 2 is your quarter grades, obviously, but you'll get more familiar with that. And then if I want to go back to another area, I can just click on Teacher Access again, and from here, I can go to another area in the gradebook. Again, the biggest takeaway from this would probably be to use your back buttons that are inside of the application itself to navigate around. Okay? All right, that's it for moving around. I would take a minute or two and play around, but again, you'll become familiar with a lot of these in the follow-up videos. Good luck.